So now we want to look at the preview and everything we need to know in taxonomy. So we're driving a vehicle to the United States of taxonomy. So the first thing to know in the United States of taxonomy is that taxonomy is simply defined as the classification, the identification, and the naming of living organisms. So, the definition is that taxonomy is a classification, the identification, and the naming of living organisms. Alright, so if I've known that, the next thing to go about to know is the hierarchy of life. Alright, so in some other textbook it's called taxonomical hierarchy, or it's called major taxonomical hierarchy. Whatever you call it, hierarchy of life, taxonomical hierarchy is talking about the same thing. So we're looking at the first thing to know is the domain. Is the domain? Well, the domain is not usually talked about in high school or in secondary schools, okay? But I'm going to bring it in because it's important for you to understand the hierarchy of life. But what you talk about in your secondary school, in your high school, is kingdom, divide or division, class, order, family, genus, and species. So can we say together, kingdom, divide, class, order, family, genus, space?
Kingdom, divide, class, order, family, genus, space.
Say that again.
Kingdom, divide, class, order, family, genus, space.
Alright, so if you must know the hierarchy of life or the taxonomic hierarchy, you must be familiar with all this. Now, the examiner can supply you with all these answers and then take one of these. Maybe they may take away this and take away this and ask you to supply the taxonomic hierarchy that should be there. This should be kingdom, what should be here? Divide or phylum, class, order, family, genus, space. Now, every living thing in the world, not living things, because we don't have anything called living thing. It's when you are in primary school, we say living thing and non-living thing. But when you come to high school, secondary school, we call it living organism and non-living. No, and non-living thing is not an organism. Organism has life. Thing does not have life. Alright? So we through with that. Let's talk about the domain. Let's talk about the what now?
Domain.
So we have three major domain. So the three major domain is the prokaryote first. Prokaryote, eukaryote, then for yours. If you get to tertiary, if you go to tertiary institution now, you have the archive.
The archive.
This is AEA. Archive. Alright? So these are the three major domains which each living organisms or each hierarchy of life belongs to. Now, if you're a prokaryote, let's distinguish it. I'll give you the explanation here. Now, if you're a prokaryote, you are not a prokaryote. If an organism is a prokaryote, it lacks true nucleus. You can write that down. It lacks true nucleus. That's number one. Number two is that it lacks double membranous organelle. Let me write that. It lacks, first one is true nucleus, second one is double membranous organelle. It lacks true nucleus, and then it also lacks the double membranous organelle. Alright, now the prokaryotic organisms has the 70s. I will tell you what 70s is all about. The 70s is gotten from the sick bed units. Have you ever seen sick unit before? I guess no. We are not studying microbiology, so we are not in microbiology class. This is ordinary biology. So let's just stay with 70s. I'll tell you what 70s is. 70s simply means the subject units, and subject units is talking about when you put the ribosomes, 70s ribosomes. When you put the ribosomes of this prokaryotic cell in a centrifuge, it will settle quickly than the one of eukaryotic cell. Eukaryotic cell have about 80s ribosomes. But there are some eukaryotic cells that has the 70s ribosomes, which is the mitochondrion and the chloroplast. But meanwhile, for the prokaryotic, it is mainly 70s ribosomes. Prokaryotic is which one? What does it have?
20 cells.
It's composed of two lower subunits, the 50s and then the 30s. The 50s and the 30s. There's a question I expect you to ask. And the question is, 50 plus 30 is how many?
8.
So why do we call it 70s ribosomes?
Minus 10.
The reason is that during the centrifugation of that ribosomes, the shape and the size of the ribosome is put into consideration. So that's what we call it 70s ribosome. Give it again. Prokaryotic lacks true nucleus, which means they have nucleoid, not nucleus. 2, they lack double membranous organelle. Are you following? Double membranous organelles are like the nuclear envelopes, the mitochondrion, the chloroplasts. 3 is that they have the 70s ribosomes. They don't have 80s ribosomes. Although some of the eukaryotic cells have 80s ribosomes. So let's go to eukaryotic cells or eukaryotic organisms. Can I get any of those? Now, for eukaryotic organisms, these guys, number 1, they have true nucleus. Write that down. What they have? They have true nucleus. I hope you're writing down.
Yes.
Alright?
Yes.
So eukaryotic organisms has true nucleus. That's the first one. Number 2, they have double membranous organelle. Number 1, they have true nucleus. Number 2, they have double membranous organelle. Have you written that down?
Yes.
All right. Meanwhile, the 80s is the 80s ribosome unit, which is the 80s subverb unit. Are you see there now? All right. If we know that, understand that some of the eukaryotic cells or eukaryotic organisms can have the 70s. And I've explained what the S means. That is dictating or measuring the rates of centrifugation during centrifuge, during use of centrifuge. And if you're going to be studying microbiology, that's what we'll talk about the difference between 70s and 80s. But let's leave it at your level for now. Okay?
Yes.
Alright. Another thing is that eukaryotic cells are made up of the protista, the fungi, the plantae, and then the animalium. You know we have the 5 kingdoms of life. I hope you can remember that.